Okay. Hi, everyone. So today I have a dear friend of mine, Yolanda, who is a Black mommy like me, and she is an amazing yogi. She's been in the game for really like longer than I have, and I'm really excited to have her here today. So Yolanda, please introduce yourself and yeah.
Very cool. Hi, Lesline.
Hi,
First of
Yolanda.
all, so my name is Yolanda Dion, and I am a yoga practitioner. Like Lesline said, I have a slew of things behind my name, but yoga practitioner being one, and more yoga student, I'd like to say, because I feel like I'm always learning. I am specifically certified as a kids yoga instructor and a kids mindfulness instructor. My niche or forte in yoga is teaching families and teaching kids how to be more mindful in their everyday life. So I use the tools of yoga to basically do just that. And then the other big thing for me is I'm a self-proclaimed PLAYologist. If
Yes.
there's any title that I like to hold, it's that one, because one of my biggest life's mission is to teach people how to play more and just
Mhm.
how to understand what play is for not only kids, but for themselves in their everyday lives. So yeah.
Yes, and I love that. Yolanda, she is a playologist. I've taken my kids to one of her classes, and I was so impressed, like how engaging you are because like my kids are 3 and 4, so they are at that age where it's like they don't have an attention span or whatever you want to call
Right.
it. But you're so good with like
Oh, you're sweet.
engaging them. It was a really good experience. So how many tell the people how many kid do you have and her age?
Yeah, cool. So I have one child.
Mhm.
Um, that's who God blessed me with, was this one darling girl. She is 17 years old. Can't believe that. She will be an adult, quote, in a year. And I fully believe in childhood and making sure that every day, every moment, every season counts for her childhood. So I'm really conscious with her about not adulting her too soon and
Mm.
allowing her to be a child. And right now she's a 17-year-old child growing into
Yes.
a young lady. So yeah.
Yes, I love that. And how because your daughter is now 17, so how long like did you start practicing yoga because of her? Like, can you go into that story?
Yeah, that's a good one. So I actually used to own an indoor play space. Years ago, I started it back in 2009. But before that, my daughter was a wild and rambunctious feral little lady. I always describe my daughter as being the person. She kind of came out being the person that I feel like I've always journeyed to become. I remember
Mm.
taking her to like this disco party for like toddlers, and she like worked the room literally at like 2, worked the room and hi, and got people to come out on the floor and dance with her. And in that moment, I was like, whoa, she is already her. And
Mm.
so with her, I've used like mindfulness and yoga techniques and the different limbs of yoga throughout the years, just to kind of help her be who she is, and also for me to be who I am becoming. Because let's
Mm.
admit it, we're always continually becoming who we are. So I really began doing yoga more often for myself as a runner. I used running to combat depression
Mm.
and anxiety. I used to be a distance runner. I was a sprinter in high
What
school.
haven't you done, Yolanda? I don't mean to cut you off, but this you've done
Yeah,
everything.
I'd started doing like mid-distance running when I owned my business. And
Oh,
when I was doing that, I discovered yoga for runners.
Okay.
and took some classes and really loved it. But if I were to think back to where yoga really began for me, I know it's Black History Month and all, but Denise Austin. I used to have the little videos,
Mm.
and I used to watch Denise Austin do yoga back in the day, and that's where yoga kind of started for me. And then also Mousercise. I'm a Disney fanatic.
Yes.
Mousercise back in the day on the Disney Channel, they used to do yoga.
Mm.
So earliest like experience with yoga were things like that. So yeah, I think I went off on a tangent. And let me
No.
also say that bringing it back to Disney for me,
Yeah.
because thinking about that, one of my biggest dreams as a playful yogi is to one day lead yoga in front of like Cinderella's castle one
Mm.
day in Walt Disney World. So that's
Yes.
like one of my biggest dreams as a yoga practitioner.
Yeah.
Everyone has their goals
Yeah.
of being a yogi, and that's one of mine. I want to lead like one of those. Disney has started doing these big yoga experiences in front of Cinderella's
Mm.
castle, and I want to be one of those people that leads that one day, and a
You
playful.
will be. Yeah, you will be.
So,
Oh, I see it already.
I see it too.
I love that. I love that. Because I know I see you share about that. That's what you want to do. And I love how vocal you are about what you want. And it's like unapologetic. Like I know that word, you hear that word a lot, but I
Mhm.
really like that about you because you're just like, this is what I want to do. And you just say it. And it's allowed, it's given me permission to be who I want to be online. So I appreciate that.
I love
Um, yeah. I wanted to go back because you said you started with Denise Austin, who, if for those that don't know, she is a white woman. And how did you? Because okay, this is something else I'm trying to get across to people.
yeah.
Some of us in the community were like, well, I can't do yoga because there's not people like us doing it. So how did you get past that? You're like, I'm gonna have this white woman teach me. I don't like. How did you get past that?
It's funny you ask that because I feel like as I've gotten older, I have adopted some of those sentiments in my head. I don't want this person to teach me now because they don't look like me, because now it feels different. Back
Mm,
then, I don't know that there was that consciousness back then because I was really
mm,
young. And also, there were really no Black yogis in that space. There was no one doing that style of working out that appealed to me. So that was kind of like one of the only people that I was able to find that was doing something like that. I'll also mention that there was a guy that used to come on the Oxygen Network, and this is where yoga shifted for me. I think his name was Steve something, but he used to do yoga
mm.
with like R&B and hip hop and just really
Oh.
great music in the background. White,
Mhm.
but would
Oh.
have like these brown people sprinkled throughout the class
Mm.
on this TV session on Oxygen Channel. And that's when yoga shifted for me, because I would watch that and be like, oh my gosh, he's playing like hip hop and R&B and gospel while he's teaching
Mm.
yoga. And then these Black people were like in the class and they were
Mhm.
doing it, but like they were doing yoga and they were like dancing while they were like holding the poses. And I was like, what? That's interesting. So as yoga became like a thing for me and as I explored it more, I knew for me, like, I wanted it to be something that wasn't so serious. And I
Yeah.
wanted it to be something that was playful and fun. And I wanted it to be an experience for people where they would see people like me
Mhm.
leading those classes and doing things that were unusual
Yeah.
when it came to yoga and the practice of
Mm.
yoga. So for me, it's just been really important for people to see kind of like all of those things within me being a practitioner and me teaching other people too.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Just like one or two more questions. Does
Yeah.
your daughter, does she still like do you guys still practice yoga together now that she's older? Like what does that look like?
Yeah, so our time together doing yoga is definitely different.
Yeah.
Like most teenagers, she's begun having, struggles here and there with different things that we all struggle with. For us now, it's really not us getting out our mats per se and doing yoga together like we used to in the past, but it's more of me reminding her of the tools that I've already given her over the years. I kind of remind her, remember, you know how to breathe. Remember this thing that I've taught you before. Remember that you can take time to sit on the ground. You don't need a mat, and you can just do things. Remember that you know how to do these. She's an athlete. So I try to remind her that when you're warming up, you can add some breathing and mindfulness practices and yoga into whatever you might be doing. So it's just more of a reminder of the tools right now.
I love that, because my kiddos are super young right now. So it's like we do it together, yoga sometimes, but knowing once they get older, I'm like, remember this, and it's true. They pick up on everything, like even what you don't say, because sometimes when I'm like overwhelmed, my daughter's like, "Mommy," and she's 3. She's like, "You need to breathe," and I'm like,
Yes.
"Where do you hear that from?" Like they pay
my
attention.
kid has done that to me plenty of times. Yep, they do.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder. It's always a reminder, like, oh yeah, like it's a reminder. So to say, like, I have taught them these things and they are kind of repeating what I've said. Kind of a little minor story. I've been telling people this a lot lately about my kids. Something happened with us one day recently. We were somewhere and someone asked her what her favorite color was. And she goes, "It's green." And I just kind of looked at her and was like, "That's interesting." And friends were around. So I was like, not going to call her out. I'm going to just kind of whatever. But this was the thing that made me kind of stop. We got in the car and I look at her and I was like, "Since when is hunter green your favorite color?" And she's like, "I don't know. I just like it." I was like, "That's interesting. You are totally internalizing your mama, because my favorite color has been green for years." And she just turned and looked at me and she just kind of smiled. So something as simple as that, like her favorite color has been blue for years. And all of a sudden, she's internalizing me and the things that I've taught her. And that simple shift of her mind going to green was kind of like a reinforcer for me that she's listening. She knows it. She hears it. And it's okay. Sometimes we think our kids aren't listening, but simple things like that, you might get that simple message like, oh yeah. And for me, it was just her saying her favorite color was green now. So
I love that story. I really do. And I say it to you every time I talk with you, but I love how you parent your daughter, like, and you show what is you want to show online. I understand that, everybody, but I just feel it's so genuine, and it's this is the word, it's so soft, the relationship you and your daughter have, especially being like a Black mom and daughter. Like, I don't feel like we see that enough. And so anytime you talk about your daughter, and just like when I see the pictures you post of you and her online, it just makes me all warm and tingly.
You're very sweet. I'll tell you, I think I've told you this before, but I think it's important to say, because I feel like I share this with any parent when they begin asking me about parenting. One of the things that I've always done with my daughters, I'll say 2 things. First thing is, from the get-go, I've always told my daughter that I was her friend. I never wanted to be one of those parents that would say, "You're not my friend. I'm not your friend. I'm your mama." Nope. I'm your friend. Matter of fact, I'm your best friend. Always going to be your best friend. Anytime things have happened over life for her in these 17 years, losing friends, becoming sad based on what friends tell you, or people disappointing, I always remind her, that's why
I'm your best friend.
I'm your best friend. And it's not to negate like the best friendship she'll have with like actual peers. But it's just to remind her that like I am always there for her. Like I'm gonna be like the consistent. Like when I'm old and gray and she's one day maybe married or whatever she chooses to do in her life, like I'm still gonna be the best friend. Like I'm still gonna be there. So I try to remind her of that. And then the other thing is just respect. Respect me, because I'm gonna respect you. And if I'm gonna respect you, you have to respect me. So started out with her being little saying, respect your mother. And as she got older, what are you supposed to do, sweetheart? That's right, respect your mother. So respect and just being your kid's friend. I'm here to kind of say that, yes, you should be your kid's friend. A lot of people say you should, but you should.
Yeah, especially in our community. A lot of people are like, no, they are in this box. You're in that.
And that's an act of yoga. That if you look at the 8 limbs of yoga, those things can fall under one of those limbs. I won't go into it because we have a short amount of time. Yeah.
I like that how you brought that tie in though. Like how motherhood, which is one of the questions which I don't have to ask because you already explained how amazing of a mother you are. But like, you know, but no, really like how you've used yoga to be an incredible mom. Like you've used the mindfulness techniques, you've used the 8 limbs to help yourself so then you could be better for your daughter. Like and that's what I'm trying to get across with this little mini series, not little, with this mini series, because
don't ever call anything that you're doing little.
I know. So I'm like, let me take that back.
I would have people, when I used to own my brick and mortar business, people would walk in and be like, oh, you own a little business. I'd be like, no, I own a big business.
Nope. Yeah, because plug that, even though you sold it, but weren't you the first?
Yeah, so please. I actually was the owner. Well, I still own the LLC, but I was the owner of a brick and mortar business called Amaya Papaya Play Lounge. It was pretty much the first play lounge noted. Since then, people have begun calling their play spaces play lounges over the years. And, you know, I was the first Black person to do many of the things that I was doing in the space that I was doing. And I opened that in 2009, sold it in 2019. So I like to say, because I feel like it's not a brag, or we brag different, but I think it's always important to share accomplishments with people because it helps them to see they've done it as well. So when I talk about my business, I like to share that I wrote the business plan, came home after work, nursing my daughter, cooking dinner for my husband, and I would stay up late and write the business plan. And then finally, business plan was done. I went to the bank with my daughter in tow. Little rambunctious sparrow girl she was, to go to the bank with me. I called the people and said, hey, I'm going to stop by with my business, with my business partner. And she was my little business partner. And they, I think, thought like, don't know what she's talking about. And they were so impressed with me, with my daughter in tow, that they secured a business loan for me within that week. And then I opened my business and ran it for a little over 10 years and have done consulting with many business owners over the years to open indoor playgrounds and other businesses, and have just been successful with that, and have had some health stuff over the last couple of years, but I'm making a rebound, if you would, and doing some other business things. I'm in the midst of starting a new business called Mindful Play Learning, which is going to focus on mindfulness and learning yoga and enrichment for families and for kids. So that's coming soon. Working really hard on that, but it's been something that's been on my heart for years. And I'm just really happy that I'm finally finding the space to do it. But I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason, as it should, and when it's supposed to. So
yes, and I think that's a beautiful like way to close this, which was divine timing is what I also, another way to say that. It's really, everything is in divine timing and there's no need to rush. And I know every time I also talk to you, Yolanda, it's like I need to slow down. Like I like well, slow down, Leslie. Like, I feel like that's what you're like, saying to me, like in a good way
Which
though.
is funny because I feel like I'm constantly telling myself that. I was explaining to somebody recently, like I'm very much like when I think of something, I want the thing done.
Yeah.
So I'm having to remind myself to like do it, delegate it, or dump it, which is
Right.
like a new PTA. I'm a PTA mom.
Mhm.
So it's like a new term that I've learned through PTA, but I've definitely adopted that for myself. Like do it, delegate it, or dump it. And I'm definitely in the phase where I'm delegating a lot more. I'm
Right.
having people help me do a lot more things than I did when I owned my papaya because I know how it feels to do everything. And I don't
Yeah.
want to be there anymore.
No,
People are like,
no.
you're always so busy. No, I'm not always so busy. I'm really busy not trying to be busy.
I like that. That is good. So, before we go, please tell everybody like where they can connect with you, like tell her all of the things, and I'll have it in the show, like in the description when this is posted.
Very good. Thank you for that opportunity, Leslie. So you can reach me first on my website at yolondadion.com. And then on social media, you can find me at Yolanda Dion on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I'm Yolanda
Mhm.
D. Tyler. And then, yeah, usually just look up Yolanda Dion and you could find me. So,
Yeah. Yes. So thank you again, Yolanda, for your time. I really appreciate it. And yeah, bye everybody.
bye.